dad has a special type of medication that he would usually have to go there. But because of the situation at hand, because of the circumstances, he's not able to get the proper treatment that he needs in order for him to be okay, which has caused tremendous health issues. His health has somewhat deteriorated because he has not been able to get the proper medication. My stepmom was told that she could not bring any of his medicine, but when he was booked and processed about a week or two later, the nurse reached out to her asking her to bring the medicine to the facility. And this is about 3 or 4 times that she's had to leave work or leave where she's at to get the medicine there so that he could have the medicine.
So you're saying the jail is not providing the specialized medication he needs?
No, my mom, she did ask them, what do we do now? Because you're saying basically they pretty much told her that they couldn't afford the medicine and that if there was any way she could get any type of generic medicine, because the jail wasn't able to afford the type of medicine that my dad needs really to survive. He needs this medicine to survive. Without this medicine, he won't survive. And they don't have that medicine. They can't afford that medicine that he needs to survive. And so she's had to come to the jail many times and bring his medicine so that he can survive.
Just to clarify, while Mr. Ferguson has been in custody, has his wife had to bring the medication physically to the jail?
Yes.
Has she been purchasing the medication as well?
Yes.
Has it created a hardship for her to have to go pick up the medication and take it to the jail?
Yes. For one, she was told she couldn't. So that always has a barrier for her because she was told one thing, but is often called on the phone to do a whole nother thing. She has to sometimes leave from work. If she is with family in another county, she has to leave from that county to come all the way here to get the medicine, to then drive an hour and 45 minutes from where she is to come where my dad is to drop off the medicine. This has happened this is about 3 times that she's had to do this.
If Mr. Ferguson were to be moved to a facility that was farther away, i.e. a Department of Corrections facility, would that be difficult for his wife to bring his medication farther away?
Yes.
If it would be several hours away, is that something that you would struggle to do?
That would be difficult as well as because she cannot see at night. It is a struggle. With her having to travel back and forth, she cannot see at night. And she also works, and it's a lot.
To the best of your knowledge, was Mr. Ferguson hospitalized at any point while he's been in custody?
Yes, there's been times when my dad has been hospitalized and no one reached out to my mom to let her know that this situation has happened, to where I have had to call Osceola County Jail. She has had to call. I have had to ask to speak to a corporal, a sergeant, a captain, a lieutenant, and no one can tell me where my dad is. Or she will call and they'll say he's here. And ultimately, there was a time when he did go to the hospital. He was there for 2 days. They informed her that he was there, and he was not. He was, in fact, in a hospital bed because he was having severe pains. Severe.
To the best of your knowledge, was there an incident where he was hospitalized and I had to inform you because you guys could not find out his location?
Yes, I had to get in contact with you on a Saturday morning. I called you at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I called you again at 7, and then I called you again at 8, and you were able to return my phone call and hysterically let me know we could not pinpoint where my father was, whether he was safe, whether he was okay, whether he was alive. My mom went 2 days without anybody letting her know that he was okay. And by the time they did that, he was already 2 days into the hospital, getting ready to be discharged.
To the best of your knowledge, has Mr. Ferguson's cancer spread?
Yes, to his back.
May I purchase, sir?
Wagner, have you been provided with these documents?
I believe so.
Thank you.
Recognize these documents.
Yes,
What are
these are my dad's medical documentation.
they? Would you say it's a fair and accurate representation of his medical documentation?
Yes,
It doesn't move into offenses A as offenses 1.
Objection, hearsay and speculation.
As a hearsay, Your Honor, these are being offered to show a general picture in regards to the health of Mr. Ferguson. The specific contents are less relevant and not to be asserted. It's the general health of Mr. Ferguson as going in. I don't understand the objection in regards to speculation.
With regard, if Your Honor wants, with regards to the speculation, she's not a custodian of records of the hospital. She can't testify whether or not they're a fair and accurate copy of his medical records.
Are these documents non-hearsay, or is there a hearsay exception?
Your Honor, there's a business records exception to this, but also there being considered to go a greater picture of the medical condition.
There's been no certification. The information in there is hearsay. Business records certification requires some specialized testimony that has yet to occur. The objection is the same.
Your Honor, I would also submit that it's not being offered for the truth of the matter, sir. It's to show a general picture of his health, i.e. the quantity and the greater picture that this is a serious situation. This is an ongoing medical condition that's continued to plague Mr. Ferguson. In regards to the specific contents of the diagnosis or greater information in there, it's not being offered for that. It's offered to show a greater picture of the medical condition.
The objection is sustained through this witness.
Ms. Ferguson,
yes,
if your father was able to return home, could he receive treatment from his doctor?
yes,
Would him coming home allow him to receive his medication through his doctor?
yes,
To the best of your knowledge, is his oncologist, his cancer doctor, has he been able to go out to the jail?
no,
And to the best of your knowledge, would he be able to make it out to a prison?
no,
To the best of your knowledge, while Mr. Ferguson has been in custody, has his cancer doctor been able to be informed of his medical condition?
no,
To the best of your knowledge, has Mr. Ferguson ever spoken to an oncologist or a cancer doctor while in custody?
no,
Has he spoken to any medical specialist while in custody?
no,
This is a case that involves Mr. Ferguson's son, Richard Ferguson. Are you aware of the sentence that Mr. Richard Ferguson?
yes,
Do you object to relevance?
I'm getting to it. Given Mr. Richard Ferguson's sentence, could you describe that sentence to the court?
yes. My brother was given life as a juvenile. He's to be released with good behavior and as long as he does what he needs to do at 19, which will be next summer. Right now he is 17 years old. So that is what was given to my brother.
Ms. Ferguson, would bringing Mr. Ferguson, your father, home, do you believe, in the best of your knowledge, that this would be the best thing for his medical treatment and that he would be able to receive his medication?
Yes,
I have nothing further.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ma'am, thank you for that information. Mr. Robinson, additional witnesses or evidence?
Yes, Your Honor. Defense will call about Avia Ferguson. Please state your name for the record.
Donavia Ferguson Ballard.
Ms. Robinson, would you have the witnesses spell their name for Madam Clerk?
Yes, Your Honor. Would you mind spelling your name for Madam Clerk?
Donavia, Donavia, Ferguson, Ferguson, Ballard, Ballard.
Who is Mr. Ferguson in relationship to you?
That's my uncle.
To the best of your knowledge, what kind of father is he?
He's the best. My uncle has been there for me for as long as I can remember. He also stood up and became my second father when I lost my dad 3 years ago from prostate cancer. There has never been a time that I needed him that he didn't show up. From Kissimmee to Miami, he was always there. From some of my biggest accomplishments to some of my darkest days, he was my shoulder and my listening ear. So he's no longer my uncle. He is technically my dad and one of my favorite.
Are you aware of Mr. Ferguson's medical condition?
I am.
Do you care to speak about that?
Yes. So my uncle has stage 4 prostate cancer, and I'm very familiar with it because I dealt with it with my dad, and I watched my dad wither away. So I know without proper care and treatment, he won't make it behind the jail cell.
To the best of your knowledge, has Mr. Ferguson spoke to an oncologist while in custody?
No.
To the best of your knowledge, has Mr. Ferguson's wife had to take medication to the jail frequently because it's not being provided?
Yes.
To the best of your knowledge, has the jail given a reason as to why they can't provide that medication?
They can't afford it.
As Mr. Ferguson sits in jail, to the best of your knowledge, have you been able to have contact or through a third party with Mr. Ferguson?
Well, I speak to my uncle. We text via the app. He calls me whenever he can.
To the best of your knowledge, Mr. Ferguson expressed to you remorse over what happened to the family that's lost.
Very remorseful. From the start, we used to visit all the time, and we used to have a great time. After that, we continued to visit, and it wasn't the same. The house was dark. The house was sad. Everybody was quiet. He expressed over and over how remorseful he is and how bad we feel for this family, because we do understand that this is a loss, a huge loss for anybody. So our hearts goes out to this family. But over and over, he's expressed this to me, that he is sorry. He accepts full responsibility for what has happened.
To the best of your knowledge, does Mr. Ferguson pray about this?
I'm sorry,
To
repeat.
the best of your knowledge, does Mr. Ferguson pray about this?
Brag,
Pray.
pray.
Yes. Does he pray about the families that's lost?
Oh yeah, all the time. I have a God-fearing uncle. Yes, he prays all the time.
To the best of your knowledge, do you believe if Mr. Ferguson were to be released on an ankle monitor or some other greater supervision, that would allow him to receive medical treatment?
Yes,
To the best of your knowledge, do you believe that Mr. Ferguson, if released, would never commit any act like as what happened today or happened in this incident?
no, never.
To the best of your knowledge, if Mr. Ferguson were released, would he abide by the instructions given to him by Department of Corrections?
Yes,
Even if those were strict in regard to staying at home, not going anywhere without permission, aside from medical situations?
yes.
To the best of your knowledge, has Mr. Ferguson ever harmed anyone, committed any other crimes?
No,
If Mr. Ferguson were to come home, would you be able to help support him through corrections and the supervision they had and help to make sure that he would follow those instructions as told to him?
absolutely.
We already asked you how you feel about Mr. Ferguson as a father. How do you feel about Mr. Ferguson as he treats other people?
So my uncle is one of those people where, like my cousin stated, he'll give the shirt off his back. He has always been there for others, sometimes neglecting his own health. He was suffering with cancer just as well as my dad was, and never once did he complain. He's always there for people when they need him.
Anything else you'd like to, or I understand you wrote a statement. Would you like to reference that?
If I can.
Go ahead, you can reference it. Is there anything in there you'd like to say?
I just want to send my sincerest condolences to the family. I'm so deeply sorry for your loss. But I would like for you to consider the man that's behind the charges. This man is a man who is loved by many and would never hurt anyone. He's our gentle giant with the heart of gold. What makes him so special is his selflessness, his compassion, his love, his dedication, and his devotion. So I'm asking you to please consider releasing my uncle because I can't see him die behind prison walls.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Hagner?
Ma'am, you mentioned that your uncle has taken full responsibility for his actions and what he did in this case. How has he done that?
I mean, he understands and he accepts responsibility. We're here.
Were you present for his trial testimony?
No, I was not, but I talk to my uncle all the time.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Any redirect? Thank you. May Ms. Ballard step down?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next defense would call Mr. Brian Floyd to the stand. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Brian Floyd.
Who is Richard Ferguson in relationship to you?
Mr. Ferguson is my stepdad, but he raised me since I was a baby. That's actually my biological father.
How is he as a father?
Amazing. Just like my sister said, he did anything for us. Like I said, he was married to my mom, and he raised me like I was his own. I mean, he took me around his family, and he let it be known, like, this is my son. Even though I'm not his biological, but he made it be known, like, this is my son. He did everything in the world for me, like from Christmas to birthdays, everything. Like, I couldn't ask for a better person to be my father.
Are you aware of Mr. Ferguson's medical condition?
Yes.
Can you elaborate on your knowledge of it?
Well, he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and it hasn't been well on him and any of my family because, like my cousin said, he is the centerpiece to our family. It spread it to his bones, to his back, and he's fighting a disease that's pretty much that would end up taking his life. And to sit up here and, be behind bars to deal with this it's crazy.
To the best of your knowledge, has he been receiving the medication he needs at the jail?
No, not at all.
To the best of your knowledge, has the medication had to be brought to him?
Yes, from my stepmother, yes. She has to bring it on multiple occasions because the jail said they didn't have it or they couldn't afford the type of medicine he needs.
To the best of your knowledge, has that made a hardship for her having to bring that medication out there?
Yes.
Would it be difficult for her to have to take that farther away to a prison?
Yes, very much so.
Has the driving made... This medication, it's specialized and can't be provided by the jail according to your testimony. Do you have any knowledge of Mr. Ferguson speaking to an oncologist while in jail?
No, not at all.
Any cancer specialist?
No, not at all.
To the best of your knowledge, does Mr. Ferguson have any heart problems?
Yes, he does. He has.
Elaborate on that.
He has 4 stents in his heart. Just recently, like my sister said, he went to the hospital for heart problems. He was having bad chest pains. So yeah, with the stents in his heart, he already has a weak heart as it is.
You said he went to the hospital. Was that while he was in jail?
Yes.
Do you know how long?
It was about 3-4 days, and there was no contact, and I was getting worried because I pretty much been talking to him often as he's been in there, and I even asked my stepmother, I said, what's going on? I haven't talked to him in the past couple of days. What's going on? And nobody knew nothing until they figured out and said, okay, well, he went to the hospital because of his heart condition.
Does Mr. Ferguson regret what happened, and does he feel remorseful?
Yeah, of course he does. I mean, he told me that he's sick about what happened. You know, he gives his condolences to the family. We talk about it all the time because it's, you know, losing a loved one is never easy. I lost my mom and I still can't get over it, but it's just not easy. So he's very remorseful.
Has he taken responsibility for what happened?
Yes.
If you were to be released with some sort of home confinement, whether it be house arrest, an ankle monitor, something of the sort, would you be able to assist him to make sure that all the requirements of the Department of Corrections are met?
Yes.
Would you help to get into his doctor's appointments?
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about Mr. Ferguson?
No.
Nothing further from this witness.
Mr. Hagner?
Sir, you said that the defendant has taken responsibility for his actions. Has he told you that has he admitted to you that he gave his son the keys that day?
Say that again?
Has he admitted that he gave Rashard Ferguson the car keys that day?
No, he has not.
So when you say you take full responsibility for what happened, what do you mean?
As far as in the families losing their loved ones, I mean, it's a tragic accident.
So when you say that he's remorseful, you mean that he's
sad about what happened, pretty much.
sad that people died, but not about what he did to cause that chain of events?
Well, I'm not here to speak on what he did. I'm just here to speak on how remorseful he feels about the family losing their loved ones.
But he's never told you that he's sad about what he did.
No.
I have no other questions.
Mr. Robinson?
Very briefly. Has Mr. Ferguson expressed to you the sadness of the loss of the specific loved ones, i.e. those that are passed?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Mr. Floyd, step down. Thank you. Statement, Mr. Floyd.
This time we will call Mr. Richard Ferguson to the stand.
Thank you.
Can you please state your name for the record and spell it for the court reporter?
Richard Ferguson,
Can you please spell it?
RICHARD FERGUSON.
Mr. Ferguson, I understand you wrote a statement, but I want to quick, before we get to that, I would like to ask you briefly about your medical situation, how you can speak to it to your knowledge. Do you have cancer at this point?
Yes, I do.
Can you describe it?
Yes, they had to remove my prostate. I have stage 4 cancer. It was in my prostate and seeped out my prostate before they could remove it. So it's in my body, and now it's taken effect.
Do you receive specialized medication for that?
Yes, I do.
Have you been receiving that at the jail?
Yes, only due to my wife bringing it out there.
The jail has expressed to you that they cannot provide that medication.
No, they cannot.
While you've been in jail, have you been hospitalized?
Yes, I have.
For how long?
I was in the hospital for 4 days.
Was that for chest pain?
Yes, it was.
Do you have some heart conditions?
Yes, I have a total of 6 stents in my chest.
To the best of your knowledge, has a doctor given you a prognosis, i.e. an outcome for your cancer now that it's spread?
Yes. Without the meds, it will spread more rapidly. The meds that I take kind of keeps it in check. I also have to go every quarter and get a shot. It's like a steroid shot that also goes with the meds in order to try to keep the cancer under control. So without the shot, without one, without the other, it can spread a lot quicker than what it's doing now.
Have you received the shot in jail?
Yes, they did take me the first month to get the shot. I had to go to Celebration. They transported me there to get that shot.
Again, the medication you receive and the shot you receive, if you were outside of custody, you would be able to go to your oncologist to receive that?
Yes, I can.
While you've been in custody, have you seen an oncologist?
No.
Have you seen a specialized doctor who handles cancer or your type of cancer?
Yes, I did. I received, they took me, I guess because my wife said something to them, and they took me to my primary cancer doctor to see it. He told me that it had spread it a little bit more from the last time he saw me before I got incarcerated.
Would you like to read your statement you wrote?
Yes. Your Honor, and to the family who has suffered the unimaginable, there are no words powerful enough to repair what has been broken, nor any expression that I can even restore the precious lives that was lost. I stand before you today as a deeply broken man, carrying a sorrow that may hurt my heart, never again be strong enough to bear. Each day is living in grief and regret and in pain that knows no limit. To the family who lost their children and their beloved mother, I offer my most profound and sincere apology. I am truly deeply sorry for your loss, for your suffering, and for the permanent emptiness left in your life. I understand that nothing I say can ease the grief you carry every single day. I know that the weight of my remorse can never compare to the weight of your pain. Still, I must speak these words from the deepest place in my heart. I am profound sorry. This tragedy did not just take lives, it shattered families, futures, and the very foundation of what once was. It has devastated your family, and it has forever changed mine. Since that day, I have not known peace. I no longer sleep. I no longer recognize myself. Every moment is haunted by what happened, and there is no escape from the sorrow that follows me. I am a sick man now. My body is failing, and I live with cancer and physical pain every day. But none of that compared to the pain in my spirit. The knowledge that my action played a role in a tragedy that took 3 innocent children and their grandmother has broken me in ways that words can never describe. My home, my heart, my life are filled with silence and grief. I wake up each morning immediately remembering that your family lives with an irreplaceable loss. I carry that weight inside of me every moment. Please know that my remorse is genuine and permanent and overwhelming. I will grieve for your family loss for the rest of my life. Nothing within me take this lightly, and not a single day goes by without me wishing I could undo what happened. If taking on every measure of pain or even giving my life could restore the lives that was lost, I would do it without hesitation. All I can offer now is the truth of my heart, remorse that will never fade. Sorry that will never lift, and prayers that continue every day. I pray for your strength, for comfort in your darkest moments, and for even the smallest measure of peace as time goes on. I pray for forgiveness, not because I expect it, nor because I feel deserve it, but because I know forgiveness is a journey that belongs to you alone. Your Honor, I stand here before you as a man devastated by what occurred. I am not here seeking relief from the punishment or from the consequences. I am here acknowledging the permanent grief I will carry for the remainder of my life. My only hope is that my words show the sincere of my sorrow and the deepest of my responsibility for this tragedy. With deep sorrow and humility and respect, Richard Ferguson.
Do you feel remorse and regret for your actions?
Yes, I do.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Line, Peter?
Mr. Ferguson, you stated that you did see a specialist, your primary oncologist, while in the jail, correct?
Yes, once.
Once. And he stated that your prostate cancer had spread.
Yes, that's what he told me.
Did he tell you that it had spread, it would stop spreading if you were released from jail?
No.
And you have been provided your medication by the jail?
Yes, by my wife bringing it to me, not by the jail. The jail cannot get it.
But the jail did not prevent you from taking it?
No, they have not.
Okay. And you were taken to Celebration Hospital to get your shot for your cancer, correct?
Yes, once.
And when you experienced significant chest pain, the jail responded by taking you to the hospital, correct?
Not at first, no.
But you ended up in the hospital to be taken to the hospital and you were treated by a doctor, correct?
Yes, I was in the hospital for 4 days.
And then they released you back to the jail.
Yes, they did.
Now, you indicated just now, you stated that you're sorry for what happened. Are you sorry because there are people dead? Or are you sorry because you actually did something to cause that?
I am sorry for the family that lost their loved ones. I am sorry that I played a part in them losing their loved one. That is what I am sorry for, because I can't replace that. I can't give that back. I can't give those lives back to those people.
You stated just now that you played a part. What part did you play?
I should have went after my son and stopped my son.
So you continue to deny the findings that you gave the keys of your car to your son?
No, I did not. I
Did not give the keys.
I am sorry. I am truly sorry that these people lost their loved ones, but I did not. And the 3 witnesses that y'all brought on board said they never saw me give my son those keys.
So
you want me to lie about something I did not do. I am sorry. Yes, is there something I could have did more? Yes, like the district attorney said, why didn't I just pull off behind him and stop him? That's what I'm sorry for, because there is something more that I could have done. But as far as giving my son those keys, I never, ever gave my son those keys. He took them off the key rack.
You were interviewed by us, by the Department of Corrections, correct?
Yes, I was.
And you indicated to them that you had no involvement with law enforcement previously, correct?
No, I did not.
You haven't had any involvement with
No,
law enforcement?
no, that's not what I said. What he asked me was, have you ever been arrested before? I said, yes. I said, I've been arrested for traffic violations. Okay? He asked me, where did I live? I said, I told him I used to live in Miami. If you look at the report that he gave you, because my lawyer showed it to me, I haven't lived in Miami in over 20-something years. I haven't gotten a ticket in Miami for, I don't know, 40-something years.
Okay.
So the arrest was up here in Osceola County for the traffic. So that's something that he wrote that was incorrect because I shared that with him.
One moment. Do you remember your testimony at trial?
Depending on what part of it.
You gave testimony at trial that you gave your son permission to back the car out?
Yes, I did.
So you did give your son the keys?
Yeah, because I had to move my wife's vehicle, and I had
That
to.
wasn't my question. My question was this. If you gave your son the permission to back that car out, you did give your son the keys, did you not?
No, I did not.
How did he turn on the car without the keys?
Because he had took the keys from off the key ring. He physically had the keys himself. As we came out, I said, Rashad, I say, wait for Dad. I said, you can pull the car out. I say, but wait for Dad. I'm going to get in the car with you and go with you. Before I knew anything, when I moved my wife's car, he was gone. I went to go in the house to call him and tell him to bring his butt back home. And before I could do that, we received a call saying he had been in an accident. That's exactly what I said. Now, the district attorney asked me, why didn't you go after him in the vehicle? And trust me, I remember that, and it's been playing in my head over and over again. Why didn't I? Because I took the lazy way out by saying, okay, I'll call him versus I'm already in a vehicle, go get him.
You stated you didn't have time to go get him. Do you recall the testimony of multiple witnesses that your son parked at a park? There was time to go get him, but did you just get distracted?
Yes, I did, and I said that in
questions.
I said that in my testimony.
Ms. Klein, he's allowed to answer the question that you asked. I heard your response. Mr. Robinson?
Johnny.
Thank you.
If you were to be released with restrictions and ankle monitor, house arrest, those sort of circumstances, would you be able to abide by those?
Yes,
Would you go to your doctor to receive your specialized treatment?
yes,
Have you been receiving the full care of your doctor in custody?
no,
Do you feel remorse and regret for your actions and the loss that occurred in this case?
yes, I do. Like I said, I can't stress this enough that I play that over and over again in my head what the district attorney asked me and why didn't I go behind my son. And I play that over and over and over, and that's something that I should have did. I already had the keys to my wife's vehicle. I should have went behind him and made him bring his butt back home. But I took the easy way out, as you can say, and I went in the house to get my phone to call him, and I got distracted. And before we know anything, I received a phone call that my son had been in an accident. So yes, I am remorse. I am sorry that I took the easy way out by thinking I could just make a phone call when I should have just went in my wife's car behind him and made him turn that car around and bring his butt back home.
No further questions.
Deputies will assist you back to council table, Mr. Ferguson. Robinson, additional witnesses or evidence?
No further witnesses, Your Honor.
Witnesses, evidence, or victim impact statements?
Yes, Your Honor, we have victim impact statements. The first will be from Angel Hernandez.
Thank you. I believe witness impact statements are sworn statements, so you may continue.
Yes.
Are you requesting that they be sworn?
Yes, Your Honor.
Raise your hand. You tell us where affirm the testimony you're about to enter is basically the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so that.
Mr. Hernandez, can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Sure, it's Angel Hernandez, ANGELHERNANDEZ.
And before I ask you what you would like to tell the court, how are you related to Trinidad Hernandez?
It's my wife,
And what about Miley Cruz
my granddaughter,
and Marvin Cruz
my grandson,
and Anayari Hernandez?
my granddaughter.
What did you want to tell the court today, Your Honor, sir?
I wrote something down. Not a day goes by that September 3rd, 2023 is constantly on my mind. My life has changed. It's such a dramatic day, dramatic way. A lot of individuals, when they see me, they say I'm a miracle. And I say, yeah, I am. But I'm a miracle behind a tragedy that will always be on my mind forever. Or I was able to spend 11 months after I retired with everyone that passed away. And when you retire, you cherish, or you look to just enjoy time, because you work so hard in life to, I guess, to achieve that dream that I got robbed of time, because I only got to spend 11 months when I was supposed to spend like a lifetime with them. And I only spent 11 months. I just pray that my family's death is not in vain and justice is served for the individuals that are responsible for these actions in this crime. And I also hope that the state of Florida will do better in implementing more traffic safety, because where this occurred, after this accident occurred, they made this a four-way stop sign, when it probably should have been a four-way stop sign if it was in a park area. And the speed limit there is 30, and nobody ever goes there 30. The 10 months or the 11 months that I was there, people would constantly be honking the horn because I'm driving 30, because I'm from the state where I came from, New York State. You know, you'd be like 30 was the normal 25 and 30, but over here, and I've noticed that there's no law enforcement presence either in those locations. That state of Florida should do that. And I just want to read something that that comes a lot on my Google feed. This was about 15 years ago, and it constantly comes on my feed. It's from my wife. It says, "Babe, you are so special to me. You are the man that I married, the man that I love and always love. You are a great father to the kids, and you will forever be my soulmate." So on September 3rd, 2023, that's who I lost. I lost my grandkids, and I lost my soulmate. And individuals will chase a lifetime trying to find their soulmate, and I had mine. Through our ups and downs, we always were good, and individuals' actions took that away. And you know, I just hope that, like I said, justice will prevail, and I hope they repent to God, speak to God about their actions. Thank you. That is all.
Mr. Hernandez, I just have one more question.
Sure.
What length of sentence would you like to see in this case?
Wow. I would like to see that maximum sentence.
I have no other questions. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
You may step down, Mr. Hernandez.
Your Honor, the state would call Anissa Hernandez to give a victim impact statement.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to enter in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Mr. Hernandez, can you please state and spell your first and last name?
Yes, my name is Anissa Hernandez. It's spelled ANISSA, HERNANDEZ.
And how were you related to Trinidad Hernandez?
So Trinidad Hernandez was my mom.
And Miley, Marvin, and Anayari?
Yes, Miley was my niece, Marvin was my nephew, and Anayari was my niece.
Thank you. What would you like to tell the court?
Your Honor, my name is Anissa Hernandez, and I'm Trinidad Hernandez's youngest daughter, and the proud aunt of Miley, Marvin, and Anayari. There are no words that could fully express how tragic this incident has been for my family. Each of us have been affected in our own way. We are still trying to adjust to a life that feels incomplete. Learning how to move forward while carrying the weight of their absence. The emptiness we feel is something we live with every single day. At the time of the accident, my daughter was only 1 year old. This is one of the hardest parts for me. She has no real memory of her grandmother or her cousins. She will never fully understand a grandmother's love. She will never feel the warmth and joy that radiated from her cousins. I remember when I first brought her home from the hospital, her cousins were so excited that they argued over who would hold her first. This is the kind of love she was surrounded by. That is the love that she was robbed of. My daughter will never experience growing up side by side with her cousin Anayari. Close in age, destined to be best friends for life. Those milestones, those shared birthdays, holidays, and simple childhood memories, they are gone. And this is just a small portion of what we have lost. What makes this even more devastating is witnessing the defendant show little to no remorse. Instead of accountability, we have seen excuses. Instead of responsibility, we have seen justification. So before I continue on, I want to make this clear that the statements that I am making, I'm going based off of my experience in education. I have had the ability of working with youth from as young as 4 all the way to 15. I have a master's in social science, and I have my background in youth, adolescence and studies. So adolescence is a critical and vulnerable stage of life. Research shows that teenagers between the ages of 15 and 19 are more prone to thrill-seeking behaviors due to the developmental changes in their brain. That is exactly why strong parental guidance is so crucial. It is during these years that children need firm boundaries, supervision, and consequences. It takes a responsible parent to set limits. It takes a responsible parent to correct dangerous behaviors immediately. It takes a responsible parent to ensure their child does not operate a vehicle without a license, especially with other minors in the car. A car in the wrong hands becomes a weapon. The defendant's lack of guidance, lack of supervision, and lack of accountability created the conditions of this tragedy. His negligence did not just reflect on his son, it contributed to the loss of 3 innocent children and their grandmother. No sentence will ever bring my family back. Nothing will restore the future that was taken from us. But accountability matters, responsibility matters, and justice matters.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you.
Ma'am, is there a specific sentence you'd like to see in this case?
The max.
Thank you. Your Honor, the state would call Sabrina Hernandez to give a victim impact statement.
Anthony, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to enter in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help God?
Ms. Hernandez, can you please state and spell your first and last name?
Sabrina Hernandez, Sabrinahernandez.
Ms. Hernandez, how were you related to Trinidad Hernandez?
She was my mother,
And Miley Cruz?
my daughter.
How old was Miley Cruz at the time of her passing?
She was 11.
Marvin Cruz?
My son,
And how old was he at the time of his passing?
9 years old.
And Ana Yari Hernandez?
My daughter,
And how old was she?
she was 1.
And what would you like to tell the court, ma'am?
You know, I sit here and I listen to people say they understand and they lost their mom, and you don't understand. There's absolutely no human experience that replicates the pain of a mother losing a child, and I lost 3. So when you sit here and say you understand, and you talk about we're struggling and he's struggling and survival, and it doesn't even amount to the struggling that my family has to deal with. This man lived a full life that my children will never get to live. And so it makes me sick to sit here and hear stuff like that. My children were robbed of their life. I'll never dance with my son at his wedding. I'll never sit there and watch my daughter do cheerleading. The day before they passed away, I took my daughter for a physical. She was supposed to start cheerleading. I will miss out on every experience a parent should not have to miss out on. They should have been burying me, not the other way around. And so I'm angry. I'm angry that I'm sitting here and listening to the sob stories about health and this and that and the third, and it's just completely missing the point, missing the whole point. And when someone does something wrong, it doesn't matter if their health is good or bad. You still did something wrong, and justice still needs to be served. And I just pray that the Lord, forget the court, that the Lord takes pity on this person who still, Mr. Ferguson still has not taken accountability. And that's so cowardly. I'm sorry to say it, but it is extremely cowardly that a man of his age, of his experience in life, can't stand up and say, you know what, I screwed up, I gave him the keys, and this is why I'm here, this is the consequences. And it hurts. It hurts that I have to wake up every day, every single day, without my children or my mother. I just had a baby 7 months ago. He'll never meet his grandmother. He'll never meet his siblings. And it's just, there's no words. There's no words that could describe what my life has been like as their mother, and my family, and what the rest of our lives will be, because every day there's reminders that they're gone. I went from a house full of children to just sitting in the silence. That is, sometimes silence is so loud. And the tears and the tears and the tears that I just see up here, it's just ridiculous. This man is still alive. Your guy's family is still alive. If you want to hug him, you can hug him. Guess what? If I want to hug my children, I have to hug a vase full of a pile of ashes that sit in my damn living room. I'll never smell them again. I'll never hear their voice again. I'll never be able to lay eyes on them again until the Lord takes me. And so I take no pity on this man. Am I sorry that he's sick? I am. And I pray that the Lord comforts him in his bad health. I truly do. And I pray that the Lord takes pity on this man, because it's a pathetic excuse for a man to sit here with your head down and can't even take accountability. That is all, Your Honor.
Ms. Hernandez.
Is there a specific sentence you'd like to see in this case?
The max allowed in the state of Florida.
Your Honor, that concludes our presentation.
Thank you. Sentencing recommendations, defense.
Your Honor, we request a non-incarcerated sentence of community control for 15 years to be followed by 25 years of probation in light of our downward departure motion and the mitigating factors is lined out in the statute. He does qualify for a downward departure. The alleged crime was committed in a unsophisticated manner, an isolated incident, and he has expressed remorse for it. He's heard that through the testimony of my client. He has said thoroughly he's remorseful for his role and what happened in this and in the loss of those children. He expressed it thoroughly. His family has heard it. They've all prayed and acknowledged the tragedy that this truly is. This was unsophisticated. This was an encounter that wasn't planned. There was no greater corroboration. No one thought this would be the day this horrible thing happened. This was not something that could be repeated or will ever be repeated. Mr. Ferguson has learned his lesson. No one will be driving without a license going forward. This is not the kind of case that seeks to repeat itself whatsoever. Also, Your Honor, Florida statutes enumerate that specific medical conditions that require specialized treatment that can't be provided are a legal basis for a downward departure. Specifically, Mr. Ferguson has through his testimony shown that he has cancer, it's stage 4, and it is terminal. He is receiving medication that the jail is not able to provide for him. If his wife is not able to afford it or continue to bring the medication to incarceration, he will not be given that medication that he needs to survive. That being said, now that he's crossed over, it is now within your right to sentence him below the guidelines. And I believe it's appropriate in this case, given Mr. Ferguson has expressed his remorse. He has explained this is not something that will repeat, and his medical condition needs to be addressed on the outside. He is amenable to community-controlled house arrest and non-incarcerated sentences that would assure that justice is sought by the state of Florida and that Mr. Ferguson can receive his medical attention going forward. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Hagner?
Your Honor, Mr. Ferguson's actions in this case result in the death of Trinidad Hernandez, Miley Cruz, Marvin Cruz, and Anayari Hernandez. Prior to trial, the state did make 2 plea offers to Mr. Ferguson. One was for a 5-year DOC sentence. The other one was for a open plea to the court with a 10-year cap. He chose to go to trial, and at trial, he denied any responsibility for his actions. He has continued to do so, not only in the pre-sentence investigation report, but in his testimony today. The case law is clear that he has not met his burden of showing competent and substantial evidence that he meets the statutory downward departure for an incident that was unsophisticated, isolated, and for which he has shown remorse. There has been no remorse. The case law is clear that showing remorse for something that has happened without taking responsibility for your actions in that in causing what had happened does not qualify. So the court cannot depart based on that statutory factor. As far as Mr. Ferguson's need for specialized medical treatment, we've heard from family members and Mr. Ferguson about what they understand of his medical condition. We understand that it's terminal. We have not heard from any doctors or seen any medical records. There's been no differentiation between that he requires specialized medical treatment versus just normal treatment at this point in time. And so the state does not believe he's met that basis for a downward departure either. And the state would ask the court to sentence him based on the court's judgment and the wishes of the family.
May I have a copy of this motion?
May I approach him?
Mr. Ferguson was found guilty by a jury assembled from this community with his participation in 4 counts. That was manslaughter by culpable negligence, of Trinidad Hernandez. She was a grandmother at 50, of Miley Cruz, an infant at 1, Marvin Cruz, a child of 9, and Aniari Hernandez Morcillo, a child of 11. The jury was instructed through the jury instructions and the Florida statutes that culpable negligence means gross negligence, flagrant negligence, showing a reckless disregard for human life, a disregard for the safety of other people, or a conscious indifference to the consequences of the decisions that they make. With those definitions, they found that the duty of care to other human beings on planet Earth had been violated to that enhanced and flagrant standard. The defense has presented the court with 2 requests to consider for downward departure and has accurately recited in their motion that that is a 2-part consideration. Number 1, whether the record evidence supports that the court could depart for a valid legal assertion, and number 2, whether examining the circumstances of the case and the mitigators and aggravators of the case, whether it should depart. First basis that is requested by the defense is that the crime was committed in an unsophisticated, isolated manner, and that the defendant has shown remorse. I understand the limitations of speaking when one is accused of a criminal offense. That lack of remorse cannot be considered for sentencing purposes absent a request for downward departure. The court, for the first time today, has heard Mr. Ferguson express any remorse. It appears to the court that he is remorseful, obviously, of the situation that he finds himself in and for the pain and deaths of the family. The court, for the first time, has heard any acceptance of responsibility for any of Mr. Ferguson's actions today. The court is hard-pressed to find that what has been asserted by family members and Mr. Ferguson is competent and substantial evidence to support the statutory considerations of downward departure. But based on what's been presented, I do find that it meets that standard. As to the second request for downward departure, specialized treatment for a mental disorder or a physical ailment that is unrelated to substance misuse and amenable to treatment, the court finds the record evidence is insufficient to support competent substantial evidence to support that as a consideration for downward departure. Court's had an opportunity, as we all have, to understand the obvious nature of this tragedy. It is self-evident. I've heard from Mr. Hernandez, the husband of Trinidad and grandfather to Miley, Marvin, and Aniari, and I have tried to listen carefully and really listen to what you had to tell the court and the family, as well as Anissa Hernandez, the aunt of the children and daughter of Trinidad, and most heartbreakingly, Sabrina Hernandez, the daughter of Trinidad and the mother of Miley, Martin, and Aniari. Your anger is understood. I think it is genuine. That will be a journey, a lifelong journey that you and your family have to carry. I wish you the Lord's wisdom and guidance in that path. We've also had an opportunity to hear from Mr. Ferguson's family. has heard from Diamond Ferguson, his daughter, Naria Ballard, from Mr. Floyd, all of which considered them to be sons and daughters of Mr. Ferguson. Mr. Ferguson was described as loving, compassionate, a provider, helpful, generous, encouraging, present, loved by many, surrounded by family and friends who are here in the courtroom and offering full support. It was also discussed of the very important, and this came from both sides, accountability and responsibility. So how do we find ourselves here at the moment of sentencing? We find ourselves here because a jury determined that Mr. Ferguson's negligence was criminal, that it was gross, that it was flagrant, that it was in reckless disregard for human life, disregarded the safety of other people here on planet Earth, and that was evidence of indifference to the consequences of that decision. The score sheet indicates several sentencing options for the court. The court, based on a basis that there is competent and substantial evidence to consider a downward departure, could downward depart. The statutory lowest permissible prison sentence indicates a lowest permissible prison sentence of 444.15 months in the Department of Corrections, which by my math is just over 37 years. Mr. Ferguson will be 70 this September. That becomes the required sentence should the court impose sentence and find that a downward departure is not appropriate for each of the 4 counts, or a final request from the state is that because the point value exceeds a certain value, that he could legally be sentenced to life in prison for these allegations. I have listened to each of the family members. Mr. Ferguson, I have listened, really listened to your statement. I've listened to the surviving family members. The court declines to exercise its discretion to downward depart based on this being an unsophisticated, isolated, and that the defendant has shown remorse. I do so based on a totality of the circumstances, my involvement in the trial, my observations of Mr. Ferguson's testimony, and the record evidence that was presented. With that being said, the court's sentencing options are now limited to life in prison or 444.15 months in the Department of Corrections. The court is going to elect to impose a Department of Corrections sentence. Mr. Ferguson, you will be adjudicated guilty of manslaughter, culpable negligence for the death of Trinidad Hernandez. You'll be adjudicated guilty for manslaughter by culpable negligence for the death of Miley Cruz. You'll be adjudicated guilty of manslaughter by culpable negligence for the death of Marvin Cruz. You'll be adjudicated guilty of manslaughter by culpable negligence for the death of Eniari Hernandez Marcilio. As to each count concurrently, you are sentenced to 444 months, 444 months and 0.15 months in the Department of Corrections. That equates to just over 37 years. Those sentences will run concurrently for each count. I understand that based on your medical situation and your advanced age, the consequences that you may not outlive this particular sentence. That is known only to God. There will be restitution imposed to each of the deceased victims, reserved to amount. You'll get credit for any time that you have already served. You have a right to appeal this judgment and sentence. If you wish to appeal, you must do so in writing. If you can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. State, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Defense, anything further at this time? Court will find Mr. Ferguson to be indigent for purposes of costs. You may file that documentation with the court file. That will conclude our sentencing.